and I crawl out of my house for lunch. Yeah, it is Wednesday. It is about lunchtime. I've done nothing all morning because there's not much going on in DC today. It's a really quiet day. So we're gonna go out and just explore, maybe go somewhere new for lunch, maybe go to a museum, maybe just see what's going on around the White House or the Capitol or somewhere else in DC. I don't know. Let's go explore. Hey guys, greetings from 14th and P Street. Now, 14th Street, when I was growing up, or not growing up, when I was young here in DC, this is where you went to satisfy your vices, whatever they were, usually illegal. But after this store arrived, Whole Foods, it entirely changed the neighborhood. You see, Whole Foods came down here when this was still a neighborhood in transition, and it pulled a lot of money from other parts of town. This was when there was one of the first Whole Foods. And it pulled a lot of money from other parts of town down into this undeveloped neighborhood. Now, this neighborhood is fully gentrified. And down on this street is now the trendy part of DC. So when I was growing up in DC in the 1980s and 90s, the hip place to be was Georgetown. That's where all the bars were, that's where all the nightclubs were, that's where the pretty people were, the people to see and be seen. But the thing was, the people in Georgetown, the residents, they never really liked the nightlife. Yeah? Parking was a bear, rents were obscene, and due to the historic nature of Georgetown, it was kind of impossible to renovate a building, even if you wanted to. So people went looking for the new thing. And 14th Street, all these old, vacant, beautiful buildings, well, 14th Street is where that money started to come. Amazon Fresh, fancy furniture, veterinarians. Oh, Chicken and Whiskey. We went there once. That's a weird chicken and whiskey restaurant. It's by the name. But today I feel more like a hot dog. The Outrage. So this looks like a political activist short. Yeah, get a book on Elizabeth Warren. Abortion bans. Roe was the floor, not the ceiling. Everybody must be an anti-racist. So this is a political activist store called the Outrage. We're going up to U Street, and then we're going to cut over to our favorite hot dog place. So as old vacant spaces gave way to new apartment complexes, charging basically Georgetown level rents, there's been a new influx of people into this area. Still a little bit of tension now and then. So here we are at 16th and U Street, U as an umbrella. And this is the U Street corridor off on my right here. We're going to walk down this a bit. U Street was the heart of Black Washington. Then the riots following the Martin Luther King assassination burned down many of the businesses that were well established in this area. Few remain, few historic places remain, but this area suffered tremendously after the MLK riots. Oops, fire truck's coming. That looks like a marijuana shop, and they sell gifts. Yeah. You can't sell, it's complicated, but you can't sell marijuana in this city, but you can gift it using this little exemption. So you go in these places and you buy, I don't know, a t-shirt, and then you get a gift. Gift being, well, something illegal in many other places in the world. The government is actually working on fixing that gifting practice that goes on. So here we are on U Street. Down over there is the Lincoln Theater, which was one of the top theater for African American artists throughout the 20th century. Of course, Duke Ellington played there, Louis Armstrong, many others would come and perform there. I want to say, like Arlo, there was like Bob Dylan might have played here. I can't remember, but I think it's still open as a theater. Yeah, they've got some plays going on here. But the history of this place is, well, pretty amazing. Next door, though, is why we came here. This is real Washington, D.C. food. This is Ben's Chili Bowl, home of the half-smoke chili dog. I'm not going to get a chili dog, I'm going to get a half-smoke. This is a half smoke, half beef, half pork, smoked hot dog. And those are fries, of course. So good. Back here are different uniforms that have been donated by the Caps, the Nationals, and then all more of the faces, the people who've eaten here. Jesse Jackson. This is the owner's wife, Ben's wife. Ben has passed away. So Glover, Danny Glover. There's Bono from U2. Chris Rock. Denzel Washington. There's Barack Obama when he came by here. Bush came here. Now the thing is, Ben, there's Ben. Where is that him? Ben actually fed the March on Washington. Yeah, and then when they all marched to D.C., Ben's Chili Bowl helped feed those people. It's Tony Rock. There's another cool one back here. You may have seen this photograph in Life magazine, the kid getting asked by the cop to move away. Well, the actual cop was a D.C. policeman, and he used to come here too. He gave his best wishes to Ben. That's Ben. Everyone. So outside Ben's on the alley, they've got a mural. And they've got all sorts of famous black artists, political leaders, Prince, Obama. But then they also have Cool Disco Dan. Cool Disco Dan was a graffiti artist who ran amok in DC in the 80s and 90s. And he put his tag here. Let's go down a block this way. There's some cool stuff this way. So there's a movie crew setting up over there. And I've asked everybody around and nobody knows what the movie is. So they're filming a movie. We don't know. Oh, this is Dukum Ethiopian restaurant. I should take you guys here. This is a really good Ethiopian place. There used to be a little place down here called Little Ethiopia, which is like a block of Ethiopian restaurants. But Dukum, I think, is one of the first, but definitely one of the best. Yeah, if you like Ethiopian food, this is a really good place. All right, let's go down. So as you can imagine, I wear a lot of hats. Yeah, I go through a lot of hats, and sometimes they get a little ringy. So we have a new hat, Ben's Chili Bowl. So just a couple blocks away from Ben's Chili Bowl is a subway station. U Street, Cardoza subway station. I think this one's actually being renovated right now. I'm not actually here to take the subway. I'm here to show you the memorial that is built next to the subway. This is the African American Civil War Memorial. And this is dedicated to the African Americans who fought in the Civil War. And this was built, about 10, 15 years ago. And they try as best as they can to memorialize all the men who served in the Army. the 1st Regiment of the United States Colored Cavalry, 1st Regiment of the United States Colored Infantry, 2nd Regiment, 3rd Regiment, all the way around. Now, I don't know if they have the state militias like the 54th Massachusetts. I believe they were eventually turned into. See what we got here. Got ambulances around. Yeah, these are all regular Army regiments. I believe there were about 180,000 African Americans who served. Oh, here we go. Yep. The 54th Massachusetts. Now, you may have heard of them before because you've seen the movie Glory. And Glory told the story of the 1st African American regiment that was founded by the state of Massachusetts and served with distinction, attacking a fort in South Carolina with tremendous losses. The bands, heavy artillery units, cavalries, pioneers, infantry, all these men served to help win the Civil War for the North. And this is just up here at about, where am I at? 9th and U Street? Yeah, 9th and U. So if you guys come up here to Ben's Chili Bowl, which you should do, you can take a stop over here. Over there is Ben's Chili Bowl, where we just were. We're going to head down this street. This is 12th, and I want to show you this famous building. It's just down about a block or so, but it's got a very historic past. Alrighty, so this building that's now coming into frame here at 12th and T, as in Thomas Street, is now the Thurgood Marshall Center for Service. But originally, this was the YMCA. First black YMCA in America. Now, the original building was built about 1850s or so. This was built at the turn of the century. It's so bloody windy. I have to move around. But here you can see Joe Louis used to train here. The poet Langston Hughes lived here from the 1920s. Thurgood Marshall lived here. Anthony Bowen. This place had a number of famous visitors. Teddy Roosevelt in 1908 laid the cornerstone of this building. Much of the construction was financed by the Rockefellers, and today the Young Men's Christian Association building is a historic landmark in this part of town and still providing services to the locals. Let's cut through the alley. Yeah, alleys are more fun than streets. So here we are at 1805 13th Street. Duke Ellington lived part of his youth here, about 4 years. He lived in this house. Duke Ellington lived in, a half a dozen homes around D.C. He was born over in Foggy Bottom by George Washington University in his grandmother's house. I think on his grandmother's kitchen table, to be honest. But many places in D.C. have a claim to Duke Ellington. So over on the right here, this is an old gas station that was recently renovated into like a beer garden, basically. So they put up some fences, tables and chairs, and now it's where you come and get a beer after work from a food truck. That's a mural they put up for Ketanji Brown Jackson. They put that up, I think, before she was even confirmed. Chicken and whiskey. See, another gift shop. Not really gifts, but yeah, you know what you're selling. Now coming down the street is DCFD Tower 3. That's the big tower that's based right next to the White House. Provides fire protection for the White House. And at the back of the truck, there you can see the presidential seal, meaning that unit and engine 16 and the foam units are the fire trucks from the city that protect the White House. Now, a lot of you have asked me, how is it that you don't get lost in DC? You're always walking around. You always seem to know where you are. Well, it's pretty easy. The city's laid out on a grid, 0 being the capital. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 streets, that's how many blocks you are from the capital. A, B, C, D, that's how many blocks north or south. It's really not that hard to get lost. Now, it is easy, however, to forget where you parked your car. And that's where I am right now. That's the park police, the federal police for the parks. Something going on weird. Okay, so I just made the comment about not being able to find my car, and I walked a couple blocks that way to look for it, only to later discover that when I made that comment, I was about 100 feet from my car. Oh well, thank God for Find My iPhone. Got one set in the car. Okay guys, for those who are wondering, that was a really good hot dog / half smoke, half beef, half pork smoked. It was really good. Ben's Chili Bowl is kind of regarded as the top place to go and get it in DC. Of course, it's very, very historic. I will be back tomorrow. We've got Marine One taking off early in the morning. We've got the March for Life. I think it's tomorrow or the day after. We're going to be pretty busy the next few days. Sometimes like today, we're pretty mellow, and sometimes like tomorrow, we'll be really busy. I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye.